The most dangerous lies are not the ones we tell to others. The most dangerous lies are the ones we whisper to ourselves in the dark. We tell ourselves we are happy when we are miserable. We tell ourselves we are just tired when we are actually broken. We tell ourselves that if we just achieve one more thing, the emptiness will go away. We edit our reality because the truth is often too sharp to hold. But what happens when the version of the story you created becomes a prison? What happens when you can no longer tell the difference between the world as it is and the world as you painted it? If you have ever felt like an imposter in your own life, listen closely. This story is about the cost of the lies that keep us safe. There was once a man named Adrian. Adrian was an artist, but not in the traditional sense. He did not paint on canvas. He painted on the windows of his own house. Adrian lived in a magnificent stone tower overlooking a valley. But Adrian hated the valley. He hated the rain because it made him feel sad. He hated the winter because the dead trees reminded him of failure. He hated seeing people arguing in the village below because it reminded him of his own loneliness. So Adrian decided to fix it. He took his brushes and started to paint directly onto the glass of his windows. Where there was a grey storm outside, Adrian painted a bright yellow sun on the glass. Where there were withered dead trees, Adrian painted blooming cherry blossoms. Where there was an empty road, he painted a crowd of friends waving at him. Inside his tower, the light that filtered through the painted glass was always golden. It was always spring. It was always perfect. Visitors would come to his tower and say, "Adrian, your life is so beautiful. You are so lucky." And Adrian would smile and say, "Yes, everything is perfect." He repeated it so many times that he began to believe it. He forgot that the sun on the glass was just yellow oil paint. He forgot that the flowers were fake. He had constructed a reality that couldn't hurt him. Years passed. The paint on the windows grew thicker, layer upon layer. Every time a storm came outside, Adrian added another coat of bright blue paint to hide the grey clouds. But there was a problem. Because the windows were covered in thick paint, they could no longer be opened. The paint had sealed the frames shut. The air inside the tower became stale. It was hard to breathe. Dust settled on everything. And even though the light coming through the windows looked sunny, the room was actually getting darker and darker. The thick paint was blocking the real light, leaving only a dim, artificial glow. Adrian started to feel sick. He felt a deep exhaustion that sleep couldn't fix. He was living in a paradise, yet he felt like he was suffocating. He walked around his beautiful tower, coughing, surrounded by painted joy, feeling absolutely miserable. He knew something was wrong, but to fix it, he would have to do the one thing that terrified him most. He would have to ruin the painting. Desperate for air, Adrian climbed down from his tower and walked to the village, the real village, with its mud and noise. He sought out an old man named Elias. Elias was a glazier, a maker of glass. He lived in a simple hut made almost entirely of clear crystal. It wasn't fancy. When it rained, Elias saw the rain. When it was dark, Elias sat in the dark. Adrian knocked on the door and said, "Elias, I need your help. My windows. The air is bad. I need you to install ventilation, but you must not touch the paintings. They are my masterpiece." Elias looked at Adrian. He saw the paint stains on Adrian's hands. He saw the pale, sickly color of Adrian's skin. "I cannot give you air without breaking the seal," Elias said calmly. "But I cannot lose the view." Adrian panicked. "If I remove the paint, I will see the storms. I will see the dead trees. I will see the ugliness. I painted it to protect myself." Elias picked up a small metal scraper and placed it on the table. "The paint protects you from the view, Adrian, but it also protects you from the light. You are dying because you are breathing your own exhaust. You have lied to your eyes so much that your lungs are paying the price." Elias leaned forward and whispered, "A lie is a shield. It blocks the arrow, yes. But if you wear a shield over your face, you cannot see where you are walking. You are safe, but you are blind." Adrian went back to his tower. He stood in front of his favorite window, the one with the eternal sunset and the perfect green fields. He held the metal scraper Elias had given him. His hand trembled. If he scraped this, the perfection would be gone. He would have to admit that his life wasn't what he told everyone it was. He would have to admit he was lonely. He would have to admit he was scared. He pressed the metal against the glass. A strip of yellow paint curled up and fell to the floor. Through the thin gap, a harsh grey light pierced the room. It was raining outside, a cold, miserable rain. Adrian cried. It was ugly. It was depressing. But then he realized something. Along with the ugly view, a draught of cool, fresh air hissed through the crack. He took a deep breath. It was cold, but it was real. It filled his lungs with oxygen. For the next hour, Adrian frantically scraped the windows. He destroyed his masterpiece. He scraped away the fake friends, the fake sun, the fake flowers. The room flooded with the grey light of the storm. The wind howled against the glass. But for the first time in years, Adrian could breathe. He opened the window and the storm blew rain onto his face. He was wet, he was cold, and he was finally alive. We all carry buckets of paint. We paint over our failures and call them lessons without actually learning from them. We paint over our toxic relationships and call them complicated. We paint over our own mediocrity and call it bad luck. We lie to ourselves to preserve the image of who we think we should be. We think that if we acknowledge the storm wins. But the story of Adrian teaches us a simple paradox of psychology. You cannot heal what you do not reveal. If you cover the wound with paint, it infects. Only when you expose it to the air can it begin to close. The truth might be ugly. The truth might look like a storm. But the truth is the only thing that lets fresh air into your life. Stop painting the window. Put down the brush. Look at the rain. Feel the cold. Because only when you see where you truly are, can you finally start walking toward where you want to go.